this is one way where, they don't have to wait for a staff survey.
Alex, thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. I wanted to talk a little bit about wellness for the ISD. It's a big focus for us here in the organization.
Yeah.
It's part of our strategic plan. We've had multiple conversations at our admin team levels. Our leadership team has looked at it. We've surveyed staff for 3 years now in a row, so it's really, really important for us. So yeah. I appreciate having you on board. I know you're new to the organization, but you come from the healthcare field, which is amazing, which maybe gives us a better perspective on things we could be doing for staff and students as well. But just give me a little background again about where you're from and what your background looks like.
Yeah, so my background is as a recreational therapist. I spent 10 years working in psychiatric hospitals, either at Pine Rest or through Trinity Health. So I help people in their hardest moments and trying to see, what well-being they can tap into, how they can enjoy their lives again. And oftentimes that focus on the 8 dimensions of wellness, looking at the whole being, and not just mental health or not just physical health. We looked at every single part of a person.
That's great. Well, you bring a great perspective to the job, and we're happy to have you on board. So thanks for being with us. So Alex, you know that we've been focused on our MAISD One team, becoming one and being strong as one. And one of our strategic plan goals is to have a dynamic staff. So what does all this wellness stuff do for us in being a dynamic staff and being a strong one team?
Yeah, overall, our health and our wellness really impacts how we show up every day. So if there's a deficit in one of those areas, I might not show up as my best self. So taking the time to focus on where are those areas that I might need to work on myself outside of work, or how can I get the support that I need to be my best self at work to show up in these areas, and knowing that there are supports and there are resources available for me or my colleagues. That I can show up and I might be able to connect with my peers if I'm working on my social health and know that I can collaborate and come up with new ideas. So this will really help really build that dynamic staff to help keep people healthy and well.
Yeah, and with over 400 staff members in an organization, you can't prescribe that, for everybody. So it's really their own wellness journey where they have to figure out what that looks like, and the different resources we offer, what they choose to look at for themselves. So yeah, it makes sense. So you've talked to our administrative team about this new wellness team structure in the organization. I love it. It's going to get more people involved. Our intention is to make sure that every building program department has some type of involvement in this structure, so we can be well informed, and actually we can and then inform all of our folks in the field too in terms of what's happening around wellness. So talk me through this new structure piece, if you would.
Yeah, so this structure is going to consist of 4 different committees. We have our data committee, where we have that strong data set that you've collected for 3 years. So that makes it very...
The staff survey, right?
The staff survey. So that makes it easy for me coming in here that we have some data-driven decisions that we can make. So we'll look at that. That is one committee. Then we have our HR committee. That is looking at all of the things that are already benefits to me as a new employee, or to you, and how we make those well known to other people. And then we have our event planning committee. So this is really streamlining our process to get everybody's
input.
Yeah. Thank you. We have our event planning committee. So this is just one way that we can get everyone's input on what wellness we need to be providing and what is customized to our employees here.
Yeah.
So we have different building chairs that we'll have from each one of the buildings that I'll meet with quarterly, that can give that voice and that choice where our wellness needs to happen. And then we will also have our Sunshine Committee. That has historically been our Flower and Gift Fund, but kind of have a little revamp with that name. These are the people that will respond to staff when they have significant events that are going on.
That's awesome. So this event planning committee specifically would have representation from each of the buildings, programs, and departments, right? That would then meet on I think you said quarterly basis before, is that right?
Quarterly, yep.
Yeah, to talk about, here's some ideas, here's some thoughts about things that our staff is looking for in our specific building or program or department, and then to maybe create some type of schedule, calendar, whatever it might be for the organization, to say, here's some events that the organization is planning for wellness. And then also those chairs, I think you said, would also be in charge of talking about their specific building program department events they do just on their own, right? So that's part of that.
Absolutely. So every school is going to look a little bit different. So
Yeah.
CTC looks different than here at North. So what type of wellness events are going to be personalized per building? But there might be some, like our end of the year celebration, or our bingo cards that have been done in the past. Those things might be universal, so
Yes.
everybody might engage in those, but having those building level chairs, it'll be able to be a little bit more personalized based off of what those people need. And then what my colleagues I might not know of in those buildings, so they'll be able to offer me that input that I need.
You know, bingo was a big hit because I saw that in the survey from multiple people about bring bingo back and some other activities like that. And I actually have a lunch bag from the bingo activity, so I kind of like it too.
As
It
a
was fun.
recreational therapist, bingo was my highest attended class that I offered. So I had 18 people, I think, for bingo one time. So it seems that translates between healthcare and
I
education.
guess so, yeah. So how do you think these small teams are going to help the organization as a whole? So we have this new structure, which I think is great, but how does this feed up and really help the organization
Yeah.
altogether?
I think we're a big organization, so it really gives, those people that are on those building level teams or a part of that team to really give that voice that comes up to you. You're very accessible and people can come and meet with you, but I think this is one way where, they don't have to wait for a staff survey that's going to come out once a year or twice a year, that they can help make those changes and impacts at that building level, and that voice can be heard all the way up to your level here.
That's great. That's great. I love it. So you mentioned the 8 dimensions of wellness previously, and you've told me this multiple times already, but tell me again what those 8 dimensions are, and you've got some ideas about how to share other resources, maybe from the community around those 8 dimensions. What's that look like?
Yeah. Do you want a quiz?
Oh no, I would fail that miserably, I think.
Okay, so we have our 8 dimensions of wellness. We have physical, emotional, social, financial, intellectual, spiritual, occupational, and environmental. So I've split up these resources for ISD-based resources and community resources. So some of our physical resources might be like Hinge Health or our 24-hour nurse line. For our emotional, it might be a Cup Health, and those are directly accessible through the ISD.
Through the organization.
Yeah, that are already benefits to me.
Yeah.
Hinge Health is pretty awesome. I'm currently using that for my PT. But those are just kind of things that, to know that these things exist and these can help me with my wellness. But also bringing in that community piece, because there are so many things that the ISD can't provide to me, but they're also happening in the community. So how we can pool all of those resources and information sharing so people know what's going on and can empower themselves and take care of their wellness.
They can make their own choices about what they might want to tap into in the community around one of those 8 dimensions, right?
Absolutely, because your wellness might look different than mine. You might be wanting to focus on your physical wellness this year, where I might be focusing on my social wellness, and how we can tailor that and customize based off of what resources can I pull from.
Yeah.
Kind of that picking and choosing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate your focus on this. You've brought a lot of attention to it for me, and now for the organization around the structure. You've been a wealth of knowledge for us, and I thank you for that. And I look forward to seeing what this is going to create for our staff across the organization, and how it's going to really benefit us long term. So thank you for the time and for the attention to this.
Yeah, you're welcome.